you so much for speaking with us. My question is directed towards Virgil, Malcolm, and Ray. Kind of piggybacking off of the Lymon situation, what I love about this character is there's that physicality of him, but that voice is small. And he has his own wants and desires, and he's very smart. He's just country, so it comes across as that borderline of what's going on. Can you talk about, all three of you, crafting that character and kind of extending it from the theatrical, the play version into the theatrical world to find that presence where he's able to be physically there, but because of his voice and how he carries his body, he's able to disappear in and out.
Well, I guess I could start, unless you want to go, Malcolm.
No.
Oh, well, one of the big things, and feel free to interrupt at any point, Malcolm, if one of the things Malcolm and I talked about very early on is the idea that Lymon, as large of a person as he is, oftentimes makes himself very small, right? And is oftentimes feels probably a little invisible, which adds an interesting layer and an interesting an interesting counterbalance for just my size as a human, right? And so on the physical side, the idea that he's wearing clothes that you don't really get to see the shape or form of who Lymon is until he gets into the suit, and you're like, oh wait, no, that guy might actually be a lot bigger than we thought he was, right? He wears baggier clothing. He's just really he's in this really interesting in this interesting place. As far as the voice goes, that's a sort of amalgam of different things, and that's something I've been toying around with for a little bit, because August Wilson works in music, and I've always imagined Lymon, the actual vocal quality of the character, being the trombone of the jazz band, right? And so while there is this there is the country twang that comes along with it, just the way in which he opens up the vocal quality, I'm always envisioning a trombone whenever I'm saying any of those lines. But that's my long and short of it. But go ahead, Malcolm.
That's why what Ray's speaking to here is such a wonderful. He kind of succinctly, or he truncated this like very long conversation and great intuition as an actor on this character. We did this we did like a camera test, like a hair, makeup, wardrobe test, and it's a really exciting part of the process because it's the first time that the crew kind of comes together with the actors and they put on their clothes for the first time, and you get a sense of who they are as people, as characters. The actor kind of goes away and the character comes out. And it's just the way that we kind of extended this into just a series of improvs, and just learning how we're going to move the camera and light certain things, and how certain dynamics of when Corey and Ray and Danielle are all in the same space, how does that work? Okay, we'll have Lymon and Bernice, and then Avery will come kick Lymon out the chair. Like and then they all play off each other. And Ray kept doing this thing where he would pick the smallest chair in the room to sit on, and he would just kind of start retreating inside of himself. And that gave me so much insight. And it was something that we talked a lot about on the script stage, of just this idea that Lymon is kind of our eyes and ears into the story. He's the audience. He represents the audience in so many ways. He's the one that receives the piano lesson, the story of the piano. He's the one that has this wide imagination. And we from the page wanted to kind of expand the world of the film beyond the house and kind of get into the fantastical elements of this stuff. And so Lymon was kind of our way into doing that. And seeing how he was both doing that, like how he would receive information, how he'd kind of be our anchor in the drama. Like there's a wonderful scene between Boy Willie and Bernice where she's hitting him and she's telling him, she's blaming him for Crawley's death, and he's fighting for his life in that moment. And they're both trying to like find they're both trying to be they're trying to be heard, and the other one, each sides are trying to be heard and nobody's listening to each other. And Ray did this thing in that moment where she starts hitting him, and he starts like almost reacting like he's the one being hit, and you see this window into so much hurt in his character. And I think that heightened the stakes and the drama of their conflict as seeing it through Lyman's eyes. So I just felt like that character was a really integral part of the story, and I thought it was brilliant, the choices that Ray made throughout it.
Anything to add, Virgil? You wrote some stuff.
I mean, no, what these guys said, that was it. There's really, you know, I'd be taking up time to add to that. Those guys, that was beautiful.
Thank you to everyone.
Take some time, Virgil. Do your thing.
You know, you know, I just think of the subtle strokes. That's all. There were subtle strokes that we added on the page that I hope, you know, accentuated all of this intent, you know, and again, it's like it's a really great example for anybody who sees this of like a true collaboration when everybody sort of, you know, lines up in their respective disciplines and passes, you know, and sort of mines the flame together. It's just I'm just so proud.
Yo, I want to say there was a look when Avery first comes into the house and we see Lyman and Boy Willie looking at him like, Ray, I don't know what you were making some freaking phenomenal choices. I felt like the judgment and the like, oh, this look at this new Negro coming in the house. And then you see that reaction from Corey, like, oh, my past is here. And I know it's written as such, but there was something there that these actors brought that I really enjoy watching. Like it was like a tennis match, you know, I mean, without even words, just there were looks first, you know, and I really enjoyed that as well. Just the opportunities that were given to us by our filmmaker here to be able to tell stories without using the words. And those moments there too, I think are just evident and very enjoyable for me to see.
Yeah, and there's one little bit just to piggyback off of that, just in the framing of the thing when Malcolm and I were talking about Lyman and his journey, there's this idea that because he's, you know, he's new to Pittsburgh, he's absorbing all this information to figure out how he's going to make his new life work up here. You know, he looks at someone like Avery, who has come up from the South, who has changed his life completely. And Lyman, I think, is in awe and somewhat jealous of Avery, right? In the sense that he's not working in the fields anymore down there, like when Boy Willie and I saw him last. He's now in a suit. Bernice comes down the stairs. She says, "Oh, you look nice, Avery." Lyman clocks that, like, "Oh, what kind of shoes does he have on?" I think the actual one of the big things I think that was a selling point for the whole magic suit thing is actually that moment where Lyman clocks Avery and sees, "Oh, I probably have to wear a suit if I want to be with somebody like Bernice." I think Lyman thinks Bernice is way out of his league and isn't even really checking for her in that specific moment in that way. You know, I think he's taking inspiration and cues from everybody. So there's a lot of there's a lot that August Wilson I think is like layered into that, and to be able to just be in the moment and play around with that and have people who you like collaborating with on this kind of thing, it was just a great journey.
Wait a minute, so you clocking that, and don't I say that Boy Willie talks about something you said, like Lyman say preachers ain't got to work, right?
Yep.
So you're also, because you don't like the carrot, you didn't like the Parchment Farm labor stuff either, right? So like,
Exactly.
are you starting to also clock like I might not have to work as hard up here and still get what he has? Like, is that?
I mean, possibly. I think all the options are open for Lyman in this moment, right? And in a weird way, I think he, you know, when he tells Bernice, he says, you know, Avery's nice. You know, you ought to get married. You could be a preacher's wife, so you don't have to work, right? He brings that back, like he remembers all this information and just sort of like a sponge just absorbs it and uses it, you know, how he needs to down the road. Yeah, but yeah, all of it's grist for the mill.
Lyman's hyper smart. Lyman's a slippery slope. There's a choice that one could make, and you could play Lyman as sort of slow. It's quite the opposite. Like he's simple, and there's often like a genius in simplicity. Like there's often like that's where like the genius stuff is, and something that is, you know, straight line, you know, shortest distance between 2 points, and it's just there's he defies. It's like shininess is not what he's about. He's about truth, and that's Mr. Fisher, man.